Alright, people, welcome back. So I will start now on the second part of the sharing. Hopefully you all are still here, not asleep yet. Alright, so before I start this session, I would like to share a file to all of you. So if you are using your computer, you can easily use this file I'm sending you now to have a more hands-on experience later. So I'm now sharing this file to your Zoom group chat in the chat box. So let me know if you are seeing it or not. Let me type this on the group chat. Spreadsheet for everyone. So if you are using your computer, you can download this now. And I will be using this spreadsheet later to explain more details. Okay? So for those who have downloaded the spreadsheet, please let me know in the comments. Just type in yes if you have downloaded your spreadsheet, so I know that you have the assets of the spreadsheet. If you are using a computer, if you are using a phone, I will send this spreadsheet later together with the PowerPoint at the end of this session, and I will be showing you this walkthrough of spreadsheet on what I'm presenting here as well. Okay, so don't worry if you can't use the spreadsheet now during this session. Okay, so yep, we have talked about what is investment in the first half, what are the things you can invest in the first half. So now on the second half, I'm going to tell you how to start, all right? So everything begins with an action. After this session, I hope that what you learn now, you can use this as an action plan to do right now in this session for a more hands-on experience, or you can use this as a homework when you are planning for your financials and investment, okay? So first off, before you get started, what are the things that you need to take note of? So I'm putting here 3 things that you should consider before you invest. So first, number 1 will be, do you have any high interest debts that you need to pay off for? So if you have, please pay them off first, but I will be talking more deeply about student loans and debts you have and how you balance between debts and investment later, okay? So the second, please make sure that you have enough insurance coverage, all right? So you don't want to throw all your money into the stock investment, and if something happens to you, you don't have the coverage or the amount to pay for. And with that being said, thirdly will be your rainy day fund, okay? So make sure you set aside one amount of rainy day funds. So this will be your emergency fund. If anything happens to you, at least you still have this amount for you to get through your life for certain amount of months, okay? So these are more things that were listed by SEC government. There are 10 things that you should consider before investing. So I will not dive deeply, but in a glance, you can see that they will tell you to plan your financials, which are basically goal setting for your life. How big is your risk appetite? How diversified you want to get a mix of different investment. And clearly you should have your investment fund with you. A debt versus equity ratio, again, you need to have discipline while planning your investment. Consider tax benefits. You need to manage your investment portfolio well and plan what are the brokerage platform you need to use for and avoid any frauds, okay? So here I'm showing you a financial pyramid. So this pyramid tells you that what you need to plan for from the very bottom to the top. So the very bottom is about security, right? So security will be things like life insurance, hospital insurance, in the case where you fall sick or God forbids you pass away, things like that. And you have a certain security that are able to pay your parents or your hospital bills for say. So you don't need to sacrifice the lifestyle or the wealth that you are building. Second level will be your daily expenses, your your rentals, your food, your phone bills, utilities, things like that. And with these two covered, you can then now save for your goals and create wealth for your future. So your goals can be retirement, retiring early. You can plan for your children educations, your weddings, long-term plan, how much money you are trying to get every month from your, when you are retired, things like that, okay? So make sure you are covered from bottom. You have your insurance ready to protect you, which serve as a protection. You move on to daily life. You are able to cover your expenses, and with that extra amount of money, you can now throw into the bank, stock market, things like that to create more wealth for you, okay? So let's move a bit deeply into personal money management. How many of you have actually a passive income stream or passive income streams or side business? Or many of you are depending only on your active income stream, which is your salary. So if you have a passive income stream, type in passive, you will know that you have more money in terms of take-home income. If you are a salary man like me, you work 9 to 5, sometimes OT, and you only have your active income stream, type in active, all right? So what I'm trying to tell you here is that everyone here have limited amount of time, okay? And we all share the same amount of time throughout the days, throughout our years, okay? We have 24 hours. We use our time to earn income with actively. So let's say if you work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, that would be your main source of active income stream. And with this active income stream, one portion of that income will go into your expenses. Expenses can be your rentals, your food, your entertainment, your utility bills, your Wi-Fi, and your new wallet, maybe. All this goes into expenses. And the other portion of the hard-earned income you get, you actually put that in your saving or investment, all right? So saving and investment goes hand in hand. And if you have passive income, meaning to say you have investment ready for yourself, and that investment can actually generate you money, passive cash flow for you, and you can use that money to cover your daily expenses for say, okay? That will be an ideal situation of your passive income that you make from investment. So personal money management again. So how to manage your money, right? And I will refer to this book here, The Latte Factor by David Bach, all right? I like this book. I finished this audiobook with a mobile app I have, and it's very beginner friendly. I recommend this to every one of you who want a light and easy read, and you don't want things to be so technical. You want to read through the story and you learn something from it. This will be the book, okay? So first, you need to have a goal in mind to know how far you are to your goal, okay? So this is you today, and that is you on the goal. So between this gap is how you are going to fill up that goal and what action plans you need to take. And secondly, you need to set a proper monthly allocation of your salary or your take-home income, okay? And you need to do that by tracking your expenses and your savings monthly, all right? You don't need to do this all of the months, but at least you need to track and have an idea on how much expenses and savings you are allocating. Are you overspending? Are you not saving enough, or are you saving too much? Okay, you need to have an idea on that, and that we will go through it with the spreadsheet I sent to you earlier later. So the other things you need to monitor and cut down is your latte effect. Latte effects are basically extra expenses that you don't really need to spend. So this book, Latte Factor, talks about if you are buying a coffee, a latte every morning, you can actually make your own latte at your home, and you can save great amount of money throughout the years, okay? So monitor the expenses you are spending, but you don't really need to spend that much, and use that money to accumulate your wealth for a long term. And most importantly, which are the two rules bottom here, you need to establish a pay yourself first mechanism, which is the takeaway of this book, I think, and you need to be disciplined and adhere to the rule you set for yourself. What do I mean by pay yourself first is to make sure you allocate a certain amount of money for your wealth building portion first, and allocate the other portion for your expenses, your savings, blah, 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 yeah, things like that. So make sure you pay yourself first because it's your hard-earned money and you want your money to earn more for you. And here, quoting a few quotes from Latte Factor, everyone tells you to do budgets, all right? But budget don't work, okay? People hate budgets, all right? No one likes budgets. I don't like budgets as well. So that's why I make sure that I allocate my money first. So it will be kind of a discipline or a auto deduction that I don't need to take care of monthly, or I will put in more emotions to break my plan, okay? A few more quotes. The solution to your money problem is actually not the money, but the habit you have monthly living, all right? So you can observe there are many rich people, but they live very frugally because they know that they are not trying to chase a lot of materialism that are unnecessary, okay? They focus on how they build their wealth to buy things they find it more important in their lives. The fact is none of us really have a choice. We are all playing the money game, whether we want it or not. The only question is that are we winning it? And if you don't know where you are going, you might not like where you end up. Okay, these are all from Latte Factors and other quotes that I like them a lot. So enough about Latte Factor. Here is from Sidley, and this is actually quite a popular starting guide for a lot of beginners to plan their monthly cash flow and their monthly expenses to saving ratio. Okay, so having here we have 50, 30, and 20 rules. 50% of expenses, 50% of needs, sorry, 30% of flexible spending, 20% of saving, which is your raining day funds. But I don't like this version of 50, 30, 20 rule, and I will tell you why in these slides. So these slides, these are some drawings or graphics I took from the Simple Sum from Instagram, so you can follow them, the Simple Sum. I find it very interesting and easy to understand, all right? Why 50, 30, 20 rule sucks? So if you are following 50, 30, 20 rule now, please take note of what I'm sharing here. So 50, 30, 20 rule is a guideline on how you budget your income or your take-home money, okay? So 50% goes to your needs, your necessary expenses that you can't really cut down on. 30% are your wants, the things you can cut down on, but you still want them, entertainment, good food, things like that. 20% to your savings, which are again split into emergency fund and investment, okay? It's not good in the long term, but it's not too bad for beginners who are starting up. But here's why it sucks, okay? So it's good for you when you are starting out, but continuing this, you can see that your saving is growing a lot more lesser than your lifestyle inflation, okay? That is simply because you are allocating 80% of your monthly take-home income to what you are spending, but you're only allocating 20% of it for your saving and your investment. And that 20% needs to be split. And you can see that how little you are investing your money into the market or for wealth acceleration in the long term comparing to what you are spending today, okay? So I don't really like this 50, 30, 20 rule, but for those who are starting, feel free to use this if you want to. So what I prefer is this modified 50, 30, 20 rule. Another step ahead for people who tried the earlier 50, 30, 20 rule and they want to make some improvement, okay? So the improvement here is basically we spend everything, expenses, be it daily or your wants, your needs, everything into your 50% of expenses. So let's say if you make 2K, okay, let's say 3K per month, you will spend 50% of your monthly income, which is 1.5K for all your expenses, okay? And I want you to allocate the other 50% of your monthly salary to your wealth building and your salary portion. So you can see there's a large difference. The previous rule tells you to allocate 20% and split them into investment and saving. But here, I'm telling you to allocate 50%, some to your wealth building and some for your emergency funds and short-term goal savings, okay? By doing so, it's easily to tell that you can achieve your financial goal quicker, okay? But again, this is a guide or a thumb of rule for beginners. You can always start something similar to this, but eventually you will modify your spending patterns and to tune to what is comfortable to your level, okay? So enough about that. The other thing I want to talk about is insurance coverage. So insurance coverage is your base of your pyramid, okay? So this is your wealth protection. You might be spending money and you don't know for what for now, but until you reach that point of time you need your insurance, you will be very grateful that you actually paid that amount of money and you made the right decision to do so, okay? So some insurance that are important for you, health and life, to me is the most important one for now and everyone must have. And the others, if you own a house, make sure you have an insurance for your house. If you are renting your property, make sure you have a rental insurance. And if you buy a car, make sure you have an auto insurance, correct? So insurance are important, but please don't overspend in your insurance, okay? Make sure you spend according to what you are comfortable with the amount of money you take home. So next will be emergency funds. So what is emergency fund? The name itself, I think, is self-explanatory, as it explains itself already. So the sum of money you put aside and you don't touch it until emergency happens, okay? So how much money do you need to put in this emergency fund? Again, is very subjective, okay? Some people will tell you 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Some people will tell you 3 to 6 months of income. Okay, again, this is based on how comfortable you are of leaving this amount of money aside, not allowing it to grow as fast, as quickly. But in times where emergency, you have this amount of money to sustain your life for a period of time. Okay, so where should you keep this emergency fund? You can keep them in saving account, but paying a relatively high interest compared to a normal saving account. Or you can put them in short-term, low-risk investment as well. Okay, these are some guides for you on investment fund. So investment fund should cover the things like, in the case where you no longer have your monthly income or expenses, it's used to cover your basic needs like rental, your food, your utilities, your insurance payment, your loan payment, your money that you need to give to your parents, but it's not meant to cover your luxurious goods buying or your vacation, okay? Make sure you stick to this principle and you don't touch that money until you really need that money. So, all right, after some briefing, now is our hands-on time. So let's create our own very financial dashboard. I will guide you through on how to use this spreadsheet quickly. So we can use this spreadsheet when you are planning for your investment. You know how much money you want to put in, you know how much debt you are going to pay, and how much savings you are actually allocating to yourself. All right, so a few readme. When you are using this spreadsheet, please change only the cells that are highlighted in red, which are these cells. All right, this applies to throughout 3 different sheets in the spreadsheets. And what you need to do is just to follow the instructions here and fill in the fields accordingly. Okay, so let me open that spreadsheet and I will share what I meant by following the instructions. Okay, can everyone see my spreadsheet? If you do, please give me some reaction in the chat box, because I don't know if you are seeing this spreadsheet or not. And yeah, please just type in yes if you are seeing it. If you are not seeing it, type in no. So I will change my setting a bit. Yes, can see, yes, all right, thank you for your replies. So if you are on computer, please do open this spreadsheet as well, and it will take you through this hands-on journey on how to build your own financial dashboard, financial portfolio. Okay, maybe not portfolio, your cash flow and balance sheet. All right, so I will go through this slowly, but not too slowly because it's not that early now. So first thing to fill up, insert your monthly take-home income. So I'm putting here as an example only, all right? So let's say I earn 3K per month. I'll put here total take-home income 3K. Okay, I'll just fill in 3K here. You can fill in your own monthly take-home income here. So your second fill in will be your monthly expenses, all right? And the third will be your breakdown in fund allocation in the table. So fund allocation in the table, what I mean is this monthly breakdown table I have here. but the second step is mainly here, all right? So you can rename these items later in your own free time, but due to time constraint, I'm just going to stick to all these items I have here. So let's say I'm earning 3K, all right? So if I'm earning 3K, how much should I put to my personal expenses, and how much should I allocate to pay my debts, and how much should I allocate to save for my short-term plans, all right? Remember the rule I shared with you earlier, 50-30-20 rule. So again, this is a rule of thumb. You do not need to follow this strictly, but this is something good enough for beginners to start off. All right. So first off, 50% of expenses. So I will highlight now the items that belonging to expenses with say gray. Okay. So all these fields I highlighted as gray here are treated as expenses. So expenses should be less or equal to 50%. All right. So I'm not changing the numbers here, assuming I'm paying $500 for all my food, my personal expenses, 200 for insurance, 100 for utilities, 100 for transport, MRTs, bus, and 500 for rentals. So let's see how much I'm spending here. So with the fund I'm allocating here, I'm actually having a sum of 47%. So it's considered good to me. So I'm spending less than 50% of my take-home income, which is quite all right. All right. So that's for expenses. So other things you need to know is about your investment and debts and your savings. So savings here, I'm putting /surplus because how I project this is based on whatever surplus I have, I put it into savings. So remember that I told you something about the Latte Factor of paying yourself first, all right? So make sure you pay yourself first by allocating the take-home money you have to your investment first, all right? So that is why I put in investment 1 and 2 as a top priority in my my items column. So make sure you allocate certain amount of funds that you are comfortable of, 30%, 20% that you find is you won't be needing it in the short term, and you're totally cool of leaving it in the long term and let the money grow. All right. So right here I have investment of what's the sum? My investment here will be 70%, a bit low, not too high. You can tune this accordingly to your favors. And saving here will be 10%. Again, it's lesser than 20%, but the reason is mainly because I'm paying my debts here for close to 26%. All right. So what I will walk through with you later is how do you maximize your investment to gain more return in the long run while paying minimum amount of debt as you can, and leverage on your debt to give you a higher amount of return in the long run. All right. So with this will be the first two portions. You can play with this later as your homework after this session. But right now I'm going to go down to the third portion, which is the monthly breakdown. So monthly breakdown, again, similar, only fill up the fields that are in red. Okay. I state here two sort of income. Just if you have passive income, you can allocate here, say 500, and these things will change, right? So the same example as what I explained above, I have a take-home income of 3K, for example. I'm allocating 500 here as asset. So this is basically a clearer overview for you to know how well you are allocating your funds. All right, 70% actually is going to your equity. All right, 27% to loans, which is quite high, and insurance coverage, I'm spending 7%. Expenses total add up is around 40%, which is quite okay. Savings here, some to emergency funds, and a little bit of surplus, 10%. Well, it can be quite low for short term. So do play around with this, and I hope that you can find a sweet spot between your comfortable level, your comfort zone, and still maximizing the amount you are putting in for investment. Okay. And if you don't know where to start, 50-30-20 rule is a good rule of thumb for you to start off, and you can monitor your expenses from time to time and tune accordingly to your own pacing. All right, there's no right or wrong. There's no best rule that works the best. Okay, all these are more subjective and is prone to how comfortable you are on leaving your money for long-term investment and not spending it now. All right, and here we have a pie chart. It's more visualizing for you to know how are you allocating your funds. Okay, these are basically generated from the data here. All right. Okay, that's a very brief coverage of this first spreadsheet. You can see that we have two more debts calculator on this spreadsheet, which I will come back later. But first, let's jump back into the slide and I will share you the $1,000,000 question. Should you be paying off your debts, your student loans first today, or should you be investing right away? Okay, so to answer this question, I will share with you what is good debt and what is bad debt. Okay, debts, of course, if you don't have debts, that's perfect. But if you have debts, try to classify them and see whether they are good or they are bad. Okay, good debts can make you incur more money down the road. Bad debts, good debts is debts that incur that going to make you money down the road. For example, like student loans is actually considered good debts because if you borrow the debt now, you go through an education process, you have more capability of earning greater money. So some people treat student loan as a good debt, right? Bad debt you incur is that you don't get any kind of assets, meaning to say you own a debt, but you don't have any returns or anything that are brought back to you. Okay, so if you have good debt and bad debt, please get rid of your bad debt first. Okay, and this is from Few Towns Rule number 1, investing from YouTube. So some comparison between good debt and bad debt. Good debt, lower interest rate, and it will grow in value in the time. So good debt will be more on mortgages, your business, your education. Bad debts are things that can cost you more and doesn't generate you any positive feedback. So things like car loans, credit cards, store credits, cash advances. These are bad debts. Okay, so let's move back quickly to the spreadsheet we have to do more hands-on work on how much you should allocate to your debt paying portion and how much you should be investing every month. So to answer that, I have 3 scenarios here that we can walk through. So the first scenario, pay off all your debts first and you invest. So you don't invest one single penny until you clear your debts. I believe this is most people perspective now, right? So there are 2 more scenarios. Second scenario, you allocate most of your fund by paying off your debt, then you invest in a very small amount into your investment for your long run. Okay, so meaning if you have $1,000, you put $900 in your debt and you invest $100 every month. Okay, scenario 3, maximize your investment by paying back minimum amount of your debt. So minimum amount here, I mean you need to cover at least your monthly interest, then top up with a little bit of your beginning balance. All right, so meaning to say if your monthly interest from your debt is $90, then at least you need to pay $100 to reduce the principal that you are generating the debt interest. Okay, so scenario 1, 2, 3. So before I jump into the spreadsheet and go through these 3 scenario with you, I would like you to have a moment and think right now, which scenario do you think you will go for and which you are more comfortable with, which approach you will do if you have debts that you need to pay and you need to invest. Okay, type in 1 if you are more prone to scenario 1, 2 if you will allocate small amount of money to investment, type in 3 if you want to maximize your investment and you pay small amount of money to pay off your debt from time to time. Okay, so let me know in the chat box. I have seen a reply from Xuanqi, depending on whether interest rate is higher than debt rate. Okay, this is valid. So yep, to share more details with this, let's jump back into the spreadsheet. So, all right, I believe everyone is seeing my spreadsheet now. So if you are on your computer, you can go to your spreadsheet now and go to the second sheet, sorry, which is the debt calculator. Okay, so let me go through section by section because there's quite a lot of stuff happening in this spreadsheet. It can be confusing, but don't worry, I will walk you through portions by portions. So if you are those who are lost, don't know where to find this spreadsheet, the spreadsheet is actually in the Zoom group chat box. Okay, you can just click on the spreadsheet, download it, open it, and voila, you can start working on it. Okay, first, change only fields that are highlighted in red. Okay, please, because I have did some formula setting. You can play this from time to time, but make sure you save a copy. So if you screw up this spreadsheet, you can always start again. So if you are not, please just change the fields in red. Thanks. Okay, so let's imagine you have two debts. So I'm taking 28K here for loan 1, and I owe another loan of 17K. So these two numbers are actually based on the amount of student loans that foreigners can borrow from if you are studying in universities here like NTU, for example. Okay, so you have your tuition fee loans, your bursary study loans, things like that. I'm not very familiar with the name. Okay, but loan 1 and loan 2, you can see add up to easily 45K. All right, and they have an annual interest compound rate of 4.75% and 4.5%. Okay, so these are this interest rate, do you consider them high? Do you consider them low? High in a sense that they beat your inflation rate. So if you are putting your money, you are those kind of people that put all your money into the bank, you will find this very high because the interest rate is so much higher than you are earning from the bank. Okay, but if you compare 4.5% to stock market, for example, with an average annual return of 10%, you will start to think that 4.5% maybe is not that high, still affordable. Okay, but again, this is very subjective and it depends on how much of your your comfort zone is. Okay, so after the loan, the next thing you need to fill in is how much money you are able to set aside. And this will be based on your first sheet on your financials. Okay, so when I say how much money you will be able to set aside, is every money that you deduct off from your expenses. Okay, so for example, your expenses is 50%, you deduct off 50% from your 3K, and whatever you're left with will be your money that you can set aside for investment, for debt, for saving. All right, so for simplicity purpose, I'm putting 1K here for the money I'm able to set aside. And here, 3 of this will be the most important part here. How much of this 1K are you going to allocate for your loan 1, loan 2, and your investment? Okay, let's move a little bit to your right side and I'll explain this portion here. Okay, so highlighted in red here, more red fields to fill up for investment and emergency fund. Okay, so you need to put here the annual return from your investment, let's say 10%. How much you are beginning, let's say you are starting with 0, okay? You don't have any beginning balance in your investment portfolio already, all right? You will start from 0 now. And all these are some results you can see. And if you are allocating your money based on the amount I'm putting here, which is 100% to loan, 0% to investment, your loan 1 will be able to end at this month. You can pay off your loan 2 at this period of time. And when both of your loans end, how much you have in your investment is 3K, okay? So congratulations, your equity to debt will be greater than at what time? And these are the difference of your interest paid from your loans and the interest you gain from your investment, okay? It can be a bit technical, but let me walk you through again. All right, so remember the 3 scenarios. scenario 1, pay off debt first, then invest. So how do we go through this? So let's say, let me take away loan 2 first. So we have only one loan to focus on and another portion for investment. So let's say you have 45K of loans to pay off, student loans. Okay, my Excel sheet is failing me. But all right, once you change this amount, you can change your interest annual compound rate as well. Let's say it's 4.75%. I'm not going to change that now. So how much money you will be able to set aside monthly? You can allocate, let's say 100% on loan to loan 1 and 0% to your investment. And you can observe in this graph here on your bottom right, as well as this portion here. So can you, sorry, my spreadsheet is not working. I'm going to refresh my spreadsheet, but in the meantime, can you all type in the results that you get from by this allocation? So let's say 100% here. 100% here, which means you are contributing everything $1,000 to pay off your loan. Okay, so by the time you finish your loan, will be this time, February 25, March 25, sorry. But when you finish your loan, you have only 1K. Okay, so let us compare in a longer perspective. In 30 years of time, how much cash will you have? How much money you have if you do this, if you pay off your loans first, then you invest. So in 30 years of time, you have this much. Let me just copy this into scenario 1. All right, in 30 years of time, you have this much of money. Okay, let's move on to scenario 2. Allocate large amount into debt and invest in small amount of money in your investment. Okay, so large amount, I would say I'm putting 80% to my loan and 20% to my investment. So for every month, sorry, I will put 200 into my long-term investment, and the other 800 I will still use to pay my debt. Okay, so red one here is your debt, yellow one here is your investment. So the money you are compounding. Okay, so by doing so, your loan ends at May 26th. So you have 1 extra year to pay your loans. Okay, so but by the loan ends, you will already allocate this much amount of accumulate this much amount of money in your investment. Okay, let's now look at equity at 30 years. You have this much amount of money. So let's just put in here again. All right. So you have this much amount of money in 30 years time. 30 years time. And this is based on 80 to 20%. All right. Scenario 3, maximize your investment by paying a small amount of the minimum amount in debt. Okay. So by minimum amount, this will be the minimum amount you need to hit here, okay, which is the interest payment to hit. So you can see that how I calculate this interest payment to hit is based on the loan you have multiplied by 4.75%, okay? So 4.75% per annum. So monthly breakdown, each month is around 0.4% of interest that you need to pay. So this amount multiplied by 0.45, it will give you this amount, okay? Around 178. So let's say if I'm paying 200, so I can pay off all the interest that I'm generating, and I'm paying around $20 to clear my debt, okay, which is very, very low. I must say this is very, very low. And I allocate the other 80% all to investment, okay. Let's take a look at the chart here again. So the red one is your investment. Yeah, you need a very long time to clear your debts. Oh, it's within 30 years. Okay, so maybe I should put here a little bit more. 30%. Okay, so 30% to your debt, which is 300. So 178 to cover off your interest, 120 each to pay some of your beginning balance, okay? So the other 700 to investment. So let's look at this chart again. So this is your break-even point, and by the time you finish paying your debt will be year 2039, okay? Oh, sorry, February 40. So you take a longer period of time to pay off your debt, but by the time you finish your debt, you have a significant larger amount, and you can see that the interest you earn compared to interest you pay is significantly larger, all right? Remember previously the difference is always in a cross because the interest rate you paid for debt is exceedingly higher than the interest rate you gain from your investment return. But by putting more money into investment with an average of 10% return, you are generating more interest that you earn from investment compared to the interest that you are paying for your debt. Okay, this is what I meant by leveraging your low interest rate debt and invest more in investment. Okay, so let's take a look at equity at 30 years. Again, I will copy this into the Excel sheet so we can compare it in a glance. All right, so let's see. I would say the amount, the difference is not very significant in terms of the numbers, but if you look at it this way, can you tell the difference? Let me tidy this up. So this will be 30 years time, 30 to 70. All right, so let's compare scenario 1, 2, 3. Scenario 1, pay off your debt first, then invest your money. So pay off your debt, $1,000 to debt. After clearing everything, $1,000 to investment. So in 30 years time, you have 1.15 million, okay? Assuming average return of 10%. Scenario 2, you allocate large amount of debt, you put most of your money to clear your debt, a very small amount of portion to build up your investment, okay? After you build your investment already, then you allocate the 800 back to your investment again. So in the long run, 1.175, so you earn 20K more if you do so. If you maximize your investment, on the other hand, and you pay the minimum amount of debt, okay? So right here, we have $1.36 million in 30 years of time, okay? So simply by maximizing the amount you have to generate higher interest rate in the long run, you actually generate close to 200K more of profits, all right? So the take-home message here, mathematically, the best way by comparing paying off your debt and investing is to maximize on your low interest rate debt, okay? Low interest rate debt. So student debt 4.5, you can get, if you can get a average market return of 10% or even 8%, is considered higher than 4.5% of your student loan. So please maximize on your student loan, leverage on it, so you can pay a minimum amount for your student loan, but at the same time generate more income in your investment. But having said that, you will need a longer period of time to clear your student loans. So you are paying a lot more unnecessary interest for your debts. So it can be seen in two ways. Some people can't pass their psychological barrier to pay a long period of time to clear off a debt. So they want to clear their debt in a short period of time so they can sleep better. They feel more freedom in terms of their money. So these are all emotion and psychological factors that you need to factor in, all right? But mathematically, maximize your investment and pay minimum amount in debts actually works to build more wealth, all right? So after listening to this, how many of you will do scenario 1? How many of you will do scenario 2? And how many of you will actually go for scenario 3? Please type in the chat box, let me know, so I will know what's your perspective now and before that. Xuan Qi, I hope I answer your question on that. Depending on the interest rate, whether is it higher than that rate. And with the example I'm using, yes, the average return is higher than the debt rates I'm having. Okay. So yeah, from here we can also tell one important thing, which is rational versus emotional. So humans are emotional most of the time, all right? So if you are investing, make sure you follow your discipline well, so you don't let your emotions take lead and control over what you should do rationally, okay? This is one very important message that I learned in a hard way when I am doing my early investment or trading period. Okay, so those who want to know more about that versus investing, you can use these two links I attach here later when I send you the PowerPoint, so you can work out yourself again and calculate, see whether am I smoking you, or is there any other better ratios you can play around to generate your wealth. Okay, I will leave this to you guys later.